Hello. I normally don't do this sort of stuff. Actually, I never do this stuff ever. But I thought maybe if I start doing this and it catches on, I'll at least have some sort of consistency in my life. Because um, right now I have nothing. That sounds really sad, and it kind of is. But anyways, I'm already rambling, but I kind of just want to do a little bit of introduction of myself and start a conversation um, about mental health, my mental health in particular, what I've been going through, and I just want to see if anyone out there on the internet, if anyone out here can relate or has any advice they can give, kind of just have a little bit of community because I feel so alone. um, very alone. Uh, Anyways, an introduction on myself. My name is Tay. I am 26 years old, but I am going to be 27 in July. So that's coming up. I know 30 is around the corner. I don't look it, which honestly, I take it as a blessing in disguise. But yeah, uh, I have been dealing with mental health basically like my entire life, like struggling with my mental health my entire life. When I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I think it might have been misdiagnosis because when usually girls are, when they do like assessments and stuff, they get misdiagnosed with ADHD instead of autism because for us, like we exhibit autism in a different way because we tend to mask more, so it just shows up differently in us. And I think that's why I got diagnosed with ADHD. But now that I'm older and I learn more about myself, I am starting to realize I might be autistic. Um, and here are the reasons why. So, growing up, I just felt like an alien, like not a human being. And even to this day, I don't really feel like a human being fully. Um, kind of just like feel like an entity or an unidentified object just floating around. Um, and I kind of just felt like I never fit in anywhere, really. Like, even in friend groups, even in my closest friend group, people that I've known basically more than half my life, that I'm still best friends with to this day. Like, even at times, I just feel like I don't really fit in fully. Like, I feel like I'm missing something, and I've always felt like I'm missing sort of like the status quo of the whole thing. Like, you know, that like feeling you get when everyone in the classroom stares at you? Like you're sitting in the back of the classroom and all the kids turn around and they all stare at you. That's kind of how like I've felt pretty much my whole life. Um, that's really fucked up, but it's like they're looking at me and they're like, you don't understand this? And it's like, no, I don't understand. I don't understand a damn thing. I'm fucking stupid. Anyways, I don't really think I'm that stupid. Actually, I'm kind of a genius. I don't quote me on that. What I'm trying to say is that I do not feel neurotypical. It's been like that my whole life. I've always chalked it up to be ADHD because my understanding of autism was my knowledge of autism growing up were, and this sounds very ableist, but this is just how I saw what autism was, were people that are higher support need. Like, I don't know what the proper term is right now, but people that are like a little more socially awkward than I am. People who have higher support needs and all that stuff. So I was like, well, I'm not like that, so I'm not autistic because I'm not like them. But then I learned more about like what some people would call high functioning. Obviously, that's an outdated term now. People who mask and those who are lower support needs, and even like geniuses that are autistic. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Let me look into this. And that's when I realized I might be one of those people. So yeah, because it just makes more sense to me. Anyways, enough with the neurodivergence of it all. I want to talk about the mental illnesses that I have. I think that is why we are here today. And I just want to talk about, most importantly, my anxiety and depression. So I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. It was a dual diagnosis when I was 14 years old. Basically, one night I had a very, very bad panic attack where I literally thought if I went to bed, if I fell asleep tonight, I'm going to die in my sleep. Like that's how bad it was. Like I was like, I'm gonna die in my sleep. I can't sleep because I'm gonna die in my sleep. And I was just freaking out. Nothing triggered it, by the way, actually. I don't think anything triggered it. I think it was just everything in my life leading up to that moment, just building up, and it finally just let go at that night, or I don't know. But the next day, my mom took me to the doctor, and they were like, "Yeah, she probably has anxiety and depression," which is nothing I was surprised about. I was showing signs of at least depression for a while now, as you know, I was an emo kid and I used to make myself depressed. Like, I don't, that sounds really strange, but I was dealing with self-harm um for a while, and I knew that I had some sort of depression because I basically was bullied a lot in middle school, and this was my first year of high school when I got the diagnosis. So it was just all too much for me, and I think that's just why yeah, why all that happened. Anyways, so I was put on Celexa, which is citalopram. So I was doing fine. Not 100%, but like I was pulling through. And I felt fine. I mean, I ended, I stopped self-harming. So I was only self-harming for like a year. I only did it for like a little bit, but I had a lot of shit going on in high school, relationship drama, this and that, and it kind of didn't make anything better. Um, and I would have panic attacks here and there, but it wasn't that big of a problem until I got older. And in my senior year of high school, I actually got switched from Celexa to Lexapro, and that's actually what I'm currently on now. So I've been on Lexapro for almost 10 years now. Ask me how that's going. Anyways, I kind of just want to fast forward my high school years because really nothing too big happened during high school. I graduated in 2017, so I kind of had a little bit of an adult life before this happened, before COVID, and I think COVID was the biggest like starting point of it all. Because I was pretty fine. I had a few jobs and I was making good money. I actually had a really good job before COVID hit, and I actually got fired for a really dumb fucking reason. I don't even want to go into that because it still kind of gets me heated because I was making this was like my first job where I was making good money because all my other jobs were like part-time jobs, working in retail, dealing with bullshit with pretty low wage. That also kind of radicalized me into becoming a leftist, socialist sort of thing because doing retail, and dealing with that bullshit, it does radicalize you. It radicalizes you in a way. In 2020, well, actually, it was towards the end of 2019, right after Christmas, I quit my retail job. I was working at a department store. I don't want to say, but I was not happy there. I had a manager that would harass me, kind of like bullying in a way, teasing me, and he thought it was funny to like make fun of me and stuff, but I didn't like it. I was like, dude, I'm here to do my job. I don't want to, I don't want to, I don't want to do this. I made really good friends at that job. Those memes where it's like me and my, 75-year-old coworker just being buddies, because that's really what it was. Like most of my coworkers were old women, and I think I met the coolest old lady there. Like she was amazing. I had to leave because I was unwell there. Like it was physically draining, mentally draining, and my mom offered me to work with her, and she worked at a doctor's office. She still works at the doctor's office, but my mom decided to have me. She suggested that I'd work with her, and I was like, you know what, that'd be great. And it was awesome. I loved the environment. It was just an office job. It was sort of just working in the back with the files, just putting patient charts in, alphabetical order, picking up phone calls, scheduling appointments for patients and stuff like that. That's all I did. And I could have done that for years. I could do that. I could not make a living, but that could be a full-time job for me. I would be fine with that. I was doing great at that job. It was so much better and less physically demanding than my retail job. And I didn't have a manager that was harassing me all the time. And I was making more money. Okay? I remember my first paycheck, I was like, holy crap, this is over $1,000. I never had a paycheck over $1,000. That's how bad it was. I was like, 2020 is going to be my year. I'm going into this year with a new job that I am making decent pay out of. I'm probably gonna move out my parents by the time I'm 21 because I turned 21 in 2020. And my mom and grandma were literally planning a birthday trip to New York for me and my grandma because my grandma's birthday is literally like 2 weeks after mine. So they were planning a birthday trip for my grandma and I, and things were going so well until around the end of February. I got fired for the most stupidest reason. Let's just say I got fired for something no one should get fired for. Like, it is not a valid reason to fire someone over it. And I got fired for it. So, yeah. And then a month later, lockdown happened, the pandemic. And even before lockdown happened, I went to a live show. Things felt off there. I took a friend with me, but I had other friends there that, like, 'cause I wanted to see some local bands play. I'm gonna go, I want to support my friend who was dating this guy at the time who was in a band. And I'm gonna bring another friend with me, and, we're gonna have fun, this and that. And it probably was a normal interaction, but the whole time, I don't know why, but I felt so unsettled. I think it's just I feel like it's just something that people with same issues that I do can understand, where it just feels like everyone doesn't like you. And that's probably not true, by the way. I'm pretty sure my friends love me. But the whole time I felt like everyone hated me. Except for obviously the friend I brought with me because she didn't know my other friends. It's kind of like, you have like certain friend groups and like some some of your friends don't know your other friends and this and that. Anyways, I really felt like I didn't belong. And I tried so hard to be included with other people and also hanging out with my friend that I brought. But my friend that I brought decided to make friends with other people. So she was off with other people. And I'm over here trying to hang out with my other friends, but they're all talking and I'm not being included in conversations, or when I feel like I'm trying to engage in the conversation, I feel like I'm unwanted, and it felt so awkward. And I remember after the show, I just dropped my friend off. I went home and then I just kind of cried and felt awful because I literally felt like everyone hated me, which is probably not true, but that's just how it felt and didn't feel right. And then obviously lockdown happened, which I am gonna say this right now. I still never had COVID. I never had COVID. It's been 6 years and I still never had COVID. That is a plus one for the agoraphobia community, is you don't get sick unless someone brings it home. But in the beginning, I didn't have an issue. I still went out, but obviously I wear masks. I always carried hand sanitizers and all that stuff. Like, I always had the safety precautions, but I didn't have a job and I kind of felt worthless because I didn't have a job. And I had to make money one way or another. So I started an OnlyFans. And I think that that also did a toll on me because I'm not sexy. I mean, you can disagree, but I don't feel sexy. I don't feel like a sexy person. And I was trying to be something I wasn't because I was so desperate to make money. I kept applying for jobs and none of them were landing, to the point where I kind of just gave up applying for jobs. I would do interview after interview and I just kept getting turned down. And I think that's just what happens. I only did it for a little bit. Don't look it up because you're not going to find anything. You're not going to find anything because I deleted it. But I also found other ways to make money. I have a Depop account and I sold quite a bit of my things. I sold my clothes. I sold a couple mangas. And by a couple mangas, I mean like I have two yaoi mangas that I sold. Yeah, I'm kind of a bit of an entrepreneur here. I call myself the yaoi dealer. That was literally the only income I had. The only money I had was kind of gone in a couple years. I got really depressed. But before that, I want to talk about my first ever, like, the beginning of my agoraphobia, because I think that's what we're here for. That's what this is. That's what this video is about. This video is about my agoraphobia, by the way. Hi, I have agoraphobia. Anyways, my first sort of episode of agoraphobia was about a week after I turned 21. So this was during COVID. I went out with my friends, but they wanted to get something to eat. They wanted to grab some lunch, whatever. It's like, okay. So we went to a place downtown and sat down. Things were fine. And then all of a sudden, I did not feel good. I'm like, oh, okay, panic attack. And I get these panic attacks all the time. Okay, not all the time, but it was like something that I am used to. But it felt a little different. And I was like, okay, this is not going away. So I excused myself, but I was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go outside and just get a breather. So I stepped outside of the restaurant. It wasn't going away. It was not going away. Usually, when I have these panic attacks, usually if I just step out for a breather, I'm fine and I can go back in and I'm fine. But this was not going away. I don't know, I was on my phone, boop, 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 boop. I was on my phone, trying to distract myself. I'm like pacing back and forth, looking like a crackhead. Like literally, I was like tweaking. Thing is that I drove to this place, and I don't have a car. I use my mom's car when I drive to places. And I'm over here like, call my mom. Mom, I need you to come pick me up. And mom is like, I ain't picking your ass up. Mom, know what to do. Like I'm having this panic attack and it's not going away, and but she's like, I'm not picking you up. You need to stay there and have your friend just drive you home. I was like, Mom, you do not understand. I don't know if I can make it back to the car. I don't know if I can drive. It was so bad. I had to endure it. I waited until my friends were done eating. They knew I was having a panic attack already. Like they knew, and they came out of the restaurant. They're finished eating. They were done paying and stuff. And I feel so bad. They were probably rushing because it wasn't that long, but it felt like forever. I was still on the phone with I was on the phone with my mom until I got back to the car. I was like talking to my mom, waiting for my friends to be done eating. They come out. I'm just like, one of you guys are gonna have to drive me home in my car. So they did. By the time I got home, I was fine. But I think that was the first time where like I had like experienced true agoraphobia. It just was different than any other panic attack I had. And I think all my future panic attacks after that um, were based off of that experience and just the fear of experiencing that again and even experiencing that again. It was so terrifying feeling like that. And I think the biggest issue with my panic attacks is that I get nauseous and I have emetophobia. So when I get nauseous, my panic attack gets worse. So it's like I get a panic attack. Panic attack triggers nausea. Nausea triggers a bigger panic attack. So it's just like a circle. And that's kind of like the issue here is that I am always nauseous when I'm panicking. Like I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I never do, by the way. I never throw up, but I always feel like I'm going to. And for the past 6 years, I kind of became a shut-in because I kept feeling that again, going through that. I've obviously gone out. First, it started to just like, I was like, okay, I can go to like places that are near my home. I can go to, the store or the 7-Eleven across the street from my house. I can go to the grocery store that's literally right next to my house. I can go to these places and I'm fine. It's just when I go long distances, places where I have to take, 10-minute drive to or something, that's when I get, this feeling inside me where it's like, I can't escape because when I go to places near my home, it's easier to escape and it's quicker to get home. When I go further, it gets worse. That is also a big contributor to my agoraphobia. The biggest issue is the need to escape, the feeling that I need to run away from this situation. I am definitely more of a flight than a fight person because you have no idea how many times I have abandoned outings because of my anxiety and my agoraphobia. I also, like, for most of 2020, I was actually fine. Yeah, I had that big panic attack and the catalyst to my agoraphobia. But even after that, I was still pretty fine. Like, I was still able to go out and avoid that feeling, but it was just like I always had that fear in the back of my head, back of my mind that this is gonna happen again. But I still at least had a bit of a social life, and I think the biggest sort of another catalyst in the whole thing was when my friends, the ones that I went out to lunch with that time, they were the only people that I hung out with. They moved to Missouri in 2021, like spring of 2021. And that was when I was like, okay, I have no reason to leave the house anymore. I have no reason to do anything anymore because the only social life that I had, the only reason that I left the house is now gone. When that happened, I basically started my hikikomori life. I was too depressed to get a job because I kept getting turned down. I started getting more panic attacks out in public, and the only social life I had was gone because the only friends that I hung out with, the only friends that I really had, moved away. I had nothing, and I spent basically the next few years just being a shut-in. I don't like it. I'm not proud of it, and I hate it. And I do feel like everyone in my family resents me for it. The one thing that people don't talk about with agoraphobia is how it affects your relationship with your family. That's something that really is a big problem with me, is my relationship with my family. I definitely feel resentment towards me from my family. I feel like um, I've lost a lot of respect from them. Like, I still respect my family, but I feel like they don't respect me anymore because they don't realize that just because I don't have a job, I'm not trying. And I saw a few therapists, but it really didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I can't do therapy work. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't, I don't know how to explain it, but I've seen so many therapists in my life. I've seen, I believe, 5 to 6 therapists my entire life beginning at age 8 years old. And the more I have become a shut in, the more depressed I had become, and the more I realized I have wasted most of my 20s. Like I said, I am gonna be 27 very soon, and I've done nothing. Like, I used to have a life. I used to. There's nothing more I want than getting my life back. But the issue is I don't know how. I don't know how to get rid of the agoraphobia because now that I have this agoraphobia, I can't get a job. I have to work remotely, and remote jobs just like don't fucking exist for people like me. I dropped out of college. I don't have a degree. I don't have any certificates or anything like that. And every remote job is like, you have to have this requirement, you have to have that requirement. I'm like, I don't have that sort of certification. I don't have those requirements. What am I supposed to do? What are people like me supposed to do? I tried going back to OnlyFans no matter how much I hated that shit. I just can't do it because it just ruins my mental health. Just I don't like it. It feels icky. I have so much respect for people who do it because obviously you have to have this sort of confidence in yourself and this sort of thing this thing that I don't have. It is so bleak. It is so depressing. The life I'm living right now. And I don't know what to do with it. I don't know if I should just suck it up and just deal with it and just be miserable for the rest of my life. Or I can't say. I can't say what I want to do. If you know, you know. And there's so many things I want to do. I want to go to Japan. I want to move to New York. I want to meet all my friends. I have so many friends in Japan that I want to meet. There's so many things I want to do in Japan. I am a big fan of Visual K, and I want to go to a Visual K live. I want to see all my favorite bands. When I am talking to my IRL friends, in the group chat in Discord or whatever, they're like, let's do a Japan trip, let's do a Japan trip. And I'm like, I want to. I really want to. But I think that's the worst thing about having agoraphobia is being in your group of friends and they wanna plan a group trip and you're just like, fuck me, I guess. I mean, I'm sure they want me to come along, but like, do you guys even understand how that feels talking about like, let's do a group trip, let's do a travel trip? And I'm like, you guys know I have agoraphobia. And like I said, I don't want to live in Florida for the rest of my life. I want to move to New York. I want to experience living in the city. I will always be a Florida girl at heart. And this is my home, but I want to leave this nest, and I can't. I have it's like a good old ball and chain, you know? I have friends in New York. I have people that I went to high school with that are in New York that I know that I could always stay at their place. But the thing is, I can't leave. No matter how bad I want to do something, no matter how bad I want to run away, I can't. I am a bird trapped in a cage. And I think that's exactly what agoraphobia is. I think that's exactly what it feels like. You are a bird trapped in a cage. But when you leave that cage, you don't know what to do because outside of that cage is too scary. It is too terrifying. You want to leave that cage, but when you leave it, you just want to go right back in because at least your cage is safe. So, why am I making this video again? Because I kind of want to do a little bit of a video diary. I want to share my journey of overcoming agoraphobia. I want to maybe do vlogs. I want to show you guys around what goes on in my life and do something. I want to do something. I want a life again. I want my life back. The only way I can do that is if I have the community that can hold me accountable, who can cheer me on, and maybe talk to some like-minded people, people who experience the same thing that I'm going through. Give me motivation. I want to leave. I want out. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. That's what it's like. Get me the fuck out of here. Anyways, so expect maybe vlogs soon. I'll try my best. Anyways, I'm gonna go now. It is 2:30 in the morning, and I want to watch my K-drama and go to bed. Okay, goodbye.